It's time for the big conversations, telling stories of movers and shakers, of industry giants and daring professionals. It's time for the conversations that change your perspective on life, the kind of conversations that shape entrepreneurs and move careers forward. If you don't know where these conversations are found, we are sending you a GPS. But if you're listening to this voice right now, you are here. Welcome to the Growth Podcast. This is the GPS.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the Growth Podcast. We're back with our fortnight podcast. We're happy that you're with us on this part of the conversation. And the last time we had Pompey on, I told people that, look, we're thinking about shutting down the podcast. And they said, no, don't stop. But anyway, we are continuing with the conversations. And today we have a very interesting one. My guests, before I get into my guests, first of all, our friends at Leluba Creation sent us this beautiful reed diffuser. It's called Essence. I was going to say, have you noticed the different scent? But you're here for the first time, so yeah, it smells good in here.
Yeah, it smells good. Actually, it's good.
Yeah, it smells good in here. Yeah, these guys are doing an amazing job. My guest is a finance person. He's an accounting person. He is basically, well, I wouldn't say an investment guy, but yes, he does investment advice as well. He is going to have a conversation with us about finances. Yeah, I'm losing it. About finances. I'm looking forward to the conversation because I'll give you a background how I, found. I've always known you for some time now. I think we met the last time you brought the book.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard you speak. So there was this one time I was driving into town and I was listening to one of these radio stations and you're talking about finances and whatnot. And you were so realistic. I told myself, I must have this guy on the podcast. And then I reached out and now we're having this conversation. We actually came to record yesterday when we were just about to start the power cut.
Zesco.
Yeah. We're not mentioning any names, but power cut. We're back. There's no stopping us. We're back for the podcast. Our tradition on the podcast is that we have these cards.
Okay.
I want you to pick any 4 cards, ask a question and then answer the question. These are our conversation starters.
Okay.
Any 4? Yes. Pick any 4. Randomly, don't follow any order.
Okay. And I think I'm going to do this. Yeah.
All right, I'll get these ones. So you can ask the questions and answer them.
What controversial opinions do you enjoy sharing with others? I like this one. I think bonds, stocks, and multiple streams of incomes.
Okay.
I love those ones.
Okay, we'll get into them.
Yes.
Next card.
Next card, describe a time when you were your own worst enemy. Yes, I have such a time.
What time was that?
Yeah. It's a time when you are trying to navigate through what am I going to do next with my life. And I used to be found myself in a place where I'm with people who are like way, way educated than I am. People are very much knowledgeable than I am. And now, there's a moment I did a workshop at Protea, I'll never forget. And I go to this workshop. They are big people. It was a management workshop. I was supposed to be the facilitator. I was hired by some company. It was from South Africa. So I'm talking to people. Now, that time I didn't have the qualifications I have now. But I had the knowledge. Now, when people introducing themselves, this is a director for company so-and-so, they have whatever, and for me, I'm just some guy with a simple finance qualification. And, it makes you feel like an imposter.
Yeah.
So it made me feel like, what, I don't belong here. and because of that feeling, sometimes it affects your performance because you want to say things a certain way, but you're scared because you say, this one has a PhD, they have a master's, I don't have those things. And because of that feeling of inadequacy, it made me sometimes fail to show up where I should have shown up. So when I realized that I'm actually not helping myself by not showing up because people are more educated than I am, my life changed. I showed up more with confidence. And I think I like this question. I was my own enemy because I did not think I was good enough. I felt like an imposter, that kind of thing. I'm not rich, for example. And then imagine you're a poor guy and then you're talking to people about financial management who are wealthy than you. You get that feeling?
Yeah, I get that.
Yes. So.
Okay, card number 3.
So number 3 says, if you could only leave your children one life lesson, what would it be? Oh, this is a good one. I think I would like to. It's a good one. It's a very good one. It reminds me of my dad. My dad was sick on his deathbed. And somehow this man knew I was going to die. So he calls me in the house and he tells me, Shadrick, I'm going to die. Now, now you picture this. I'm a young boy. I'm 13 years old, all right? And I'm coming from school. I'm excited. I'm moving fast. I'm happy. I'm going to find Nshima. And I get home and I see, I get home. I'm expecting, so my mom tells me, Shadrick, your dad is calling inside. So I get inside the house and, I'm happy because when I teach him, I'm from school, I'm tired. Then I see my dad and he's sleeping there and he tells me, sit down and please close the door. So I shut the door. Then quickly I realize it's not about Nshima here because obviously this man is sleeping, is lying down and he's asking me to close the door. And he tells me, what I'm going to tell you today, don't tell anybody, not even your mom. And I'm saying, okay. And he tells me, Shadrick, I want you to know that I'm going to die. At first I'm thinking, okay, maybe I may say this man is just, no. Then he looks at me and says, I want you to know that I am going to die. And you will live with other people. Please be the good boy you've always been. And he thanked me so much because I've always been good at business. I used to be at his restaurant, helping out and stuff like that. He tells me, thank you for being a good child. You've helped us so much at the restaurant, and please, I hope that you continue. So now, I don't remember everything about the conversation, but one thing I remember most of it is the look on his face when he told me he was going to die, because I could see the pain in his eyes. My father was in pain, not because of the sickness, but because he knew that life would be hard for us. He knew that it's going to be hard, and he tells me you will live with us, because obviously he knew that maybe it won't be easy for mom to do the job for all of us. So the pain that I saw in my father's eyes, I've never forgotten his face. Even right now, I can visualize his look. This man was sad. He was very sad. He was very sad. So when I think about now, I think about it in a different way. He wanted me to be prepared for his death. Now, I'm 13 years old, Swilanji. When you're 13 years old, what do you do when your dad says, I'm going to die? How do you go to school the next day? How do you cross the road? What do you do? So I mourned this man in silence for a very, very long time. But I got a valuable lesson from that experience. I was prepared for his death. When he eventually died, it was hard for me to cry actually, because I had mourned him in silence for a very long time. And nobody knew about it because I was trying to keep a secret for my dad and say, I've never shared this with anybody. I'm going to keep this one. It's a secret between me and my dad. My young brother did not know about this up until last year when I wrote my book, because I put this in my book. When my young brother read the story, he said, really? This was happening? I kept it a secret for many, many years, Swilanji. I never shared for many years. So the lesson I learned from my father's, honesty in telling me I was going to die was that it's always good to prepare your children for your death and let them know there's no free lunch. Dad taught us how to do the work. So if I'm going to tell my children one thing, and one thing only, is that you are only special to me. The moment you leave my house, you're a nobody. People don't care about you. I can say, if for example, if I ever have a daughter, for example, in the future, I would tell my daughter, say, you know what, you're a princess to me. I call you honey here in my house. The moment you leave this door, nobody cares who you are. You're on your own. So I like my children to be prepared and to know that there's no free lunch. You have to work for things. Nothing comes for free. Yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah. It's a good question, Swilanji. I like the question. It's a very good question.
Share it with us.
It's a very good question. So what are your core values? Fantastic. My core values, number 1 is authenticity. I believe in being true, not only to other people, but also to myself. And I'm going to say this, being authentic as a way it connects with people in a genuine way. And I think the biggest reason why most people are poor today is because they live a lie. They're not authentic. They're not true to themselves. When you are true to yourself, you come across opportunities, that speak to your strengths. You'll be identified by people, you'll be noticed because you're honest, you are true to yourself. So one of my biggest core value is that I should always remain true to myself, not just to other people, but also to myself. There are people who are so honest with other people, but they are always lying to themselves. They know they don't have the life they talk about. They know they are not happening. They know it, but they've given this big facade, the big picture to other people. And that's a lie. It is called wishful thinking. Now, because of that, Swelanji, they ignore a reality that is just in front of their eyes for a future they cannot dream of because of not being true to yourself. When you are true to yourself, you work hard. You realize, you notice things you need to improve on because you are true to yourself. So that has been my biggest core value, being true to myself.
All right, thank you very much for your honesty with the cards. You can pass them over.
I like the questions. I'm kind of moved by those questions.
Yeah,
they bring so much.
They challenge you to think, and sometimes it's good to just have that conversation with yourself. Because I don't think anyone will just bump into you on the street and say, "What are your core values?"
Yeah.
Or what life lessons do you want to pass to your children?
Yeah.
But for those that may not know you, maybe introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes. So my name is Shadrick, like you said already, Shadrick Lusambo. On social media, of course, is Shadrick, Chartered Accountant, the brand. Yeah, so I'm a certified investment and financial analyst. I heard you said, I can't call you a finance guy. Yeah, I'm a finance guy. An investment guy. Yeah, I'm a certified investment and financial analyst. I'm a chartered accountant. And I'm going to say I'm a businessman.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard to say, when people say, what do you do? I'm trying to think, what do I do? Am I an entrepreneur? Okay, am I a business? Am I self-employed? And
what took you to going into investment education? Like, what made you want to start giving people advice about their investment?
I like that question. I like it because, I noticed a gap in the way we give investment advice to people, especially in Zambia. In Zambia, like I said, we have a lot of people who have what I call wishful thinking. And it's not because of the people we give financial information, it's because of us, the people in finance. I think we have hyped investments so much. And when I saw the hype, for example, if we're going to get into bonds and stocks and unit trusts and real estate and all this kind of stuff, the way we talk about them, I'm not blaming like anybody, and I'm not trying to say I'm the guy who says the truth. No, that's not the point. The point is I wanted to contribute in my small way to, unfiltered thoughts, unfiltered information that I can say, okay, fine, if you want to put in money in bonds, yes, you can go ahead. But know this, most of us in finance, we market products because we want to get paid. But we forget one important thing. The people who come to us for advice, there's something they want to achieve in life. So when they give us the money, they're not just giving us the money because they love our voices. No. They care more about the value they will derive from us than the money they give us. So the least we can do for our clients is to tell them the truth. And I think that's the gap I noticed, that we may say things a certain way because we want to get paid. And also because I'm in finance, Swelanji. I'm a chartered accountant. Obviously, I'm in love with numbers. I'm in love with investments, and it plays to my strength.
Okay.
Yes.
I was telling you that I want us to break down finance and investments at individual level, at family level, and also maybe for those that may be running businesses.
Yeah.
Let's start with at personal level. At personal level, what kind of investment mistakes do you see people making?
Okay, so one of the biggest mistakes is what I call action without planning. People take action without planning because it's their money. They are so much entitled to their money that they can just decide to wake up and say, you know what? Swelanji has a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast. You don't know how many years Swelanji has planned for the podcast. You don't know if he has a sponsor. You don't know how he bought his equipment. You don't know the kind of experience he has, what is driving him to do a podcast. So you just wake up, I've got the money, I'm going to do a podcast. You take action without planning. That's the biggest mistake for most investors at a personal level. And this is because of this inherent financial indiscipline that people have at individual level. Because you feel entitled to your money, Swelanji. And because you feel entitled, you think you can just get the money and invest. So that's the biggest mistake. Action without planning.
You've mentioned financial indiscipline. How do I overcome financial indiscipline? If I know that, okay, look, because also the thing I've come to learn is that the first level to dealing with anything is acceptance.
Yeah.
I have accepted I am financially indisciplined. How do I deal with that?
Okay, that's a good one. So, like you have said, the first step to addressing financial indiscipline is to accept your financial situation. I think, in my honest opinion, Swelanji, and I know I'm free here because I trust your audience. I see the comments from your page and I see the people, how they consume information. So I have so much trust for our audience. And this is why I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why I feel, I think you can not address the issue of indiscipline is because not being aware of your situation. And I'm going to say this. There are three kinds of people, Swelanji. There are those who have an idea of what poverty is. There are those who know what poverty is. And then there's me. People who experience actual poverty. We are different in how we spend our money. A guy who's experienced poverty knows what lies ahead if he misbehaves with his money. He knows where it's going to go back to. You understand? So it becomes different. It becomes easier to do the right thing because you know how it is to go home without food. And then you look at your child. And then you see the face of an hungry child is more stressful than anything else. And it's very stressful. You know that kind of life. If I mess up this money, I'm going back to, I'm done. I don't have anybody to call, no uncle, no aunt, no what. I'm on my own. You accept your financial situation. It helps to be disciplined. No matter what we tell you, that do this, it won't work. So the easiest way to be disciplined is change of behavior. Change of behavior is the biggest advice I can tell someone. If you want to be financially disciplined, just change your behavior. Because you know the behaviors that keep you broke. You know them. I don't know. I'm an advisor, but if you come to me, I'll tell you the general things. I say, you know what? Make a budget, spend according to your budget. It won't work. It won't work. So for me, you're going to pay me, but I'll tell you, okay, you can make a plan, use an app, use this, spend whatever I'll say will not work. Do you know what won't work for you? It's change of behavior. You have to decide for yourself and say, you know what? I think my financial situation is bad and I have no support. If I mess up this money, nobody's coming to save me. I'm on my own. I'm not going to be eating out like a rich person. I'm not yet rich. I won't be having 20 girlfriends. I don't have, it's not even healthy. I won't be trying to impress my relatives. All right? You have to accept your situation. And you know, what shocks me is this. I think in Zambia, most people don't know that they are poor. And that's why they overspend the money. A lot of people have no idea how poor they are. If you know how poor you are, you won't misuse the money. They lack the awareness. They are in this way, like wishful thinking. In Africa is over. They never solve themselves. You solve them out. You sort them out. So accept the situation and change your behavior. That's the only way you can be disciplined. Look at your life and say, is it really true that I am happy with my life right now? Is it really true that the way I'm spending money, it speaks to the amount of money I make in a month? Is it really true that my behavior speaks to my financial muscle? You ask those questions for yourself. No advisor, no matter what you say, make a budget, spend according to your budget, live within your means, blah, 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 blah. They don't work, Swelanji.
I was laughing. I saw something on social media. I can't remember the exact quote, but it has something to do with like the cost of rent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's assume I get paid 6,000 kwacha, right? How much do you think my rent should be?
Not more than 30% of what you make. And here's the issue. And if you what is 10% of 6,000? 600.
Yes.
So what is 30% of that times 3? 1.8.
1.8.
So if your salary is 6,000, your rent should not be above 1.8. You're a poor guy. Like, that's the truth. That's the truth. Now, the problem we have is that when we have somebody getting paid 6,000 kwacha is paying rent 3,000, 50% of their salary. Why are you doing this to yourself? there's no harm in going to a cheaper location, all right? I was living in a house to Ilanji. I'm not saying anyone should do that. So they built a thin house, small house, not in a compound. And I was happy because I didn't have stress of paying 5,000 kwacha on rentals. You understand? So, like I said, you have to accept your situation. Now, people don't accept. If you 6,000, they're paying rent 5,000. You find somebody is getting 6,000, he lives in Kabulonga. What are you doing there? Because just transport alone will stress you. If you don't have a car of your own, from Kabulonga to town and come back, it's a lot of money. So, if you are 6,000 kwacha, don't surpass 30% of your income, of your salary. There's a lot of houses in different residential areas for 1.5. For a startup like you is getting 6,000 kwacha. There are lots of houses, to be honest. But because we want to short-term unemployment, so we go to Kabulonga, we go to Woodlands. But the truth is we know we are struggling. This is why we see people in employment, most of them look like they're about to die, most of them. It's because they are stressed financially, even though they earn a good amount of money, but they have these expenses.
Look, nothing really against like people in the civil service, but I want to use them as an example as I bring this question to you. Issues to do with loans.
Yeah.
Most people are like they're choked with debt.
Yeah.
You know, I know what causes it is because look, like I said, let's assume you're getting paid 6,000 kwacha, right? Yeah. You are a married person.
Yeah.
You get paid 6,000 kwacha. Yeah. Your rent, for argument's sake, is 2.5. It's above 30%, but for argument's sake, it's 2,500 kwacha. Yeah. Meaning you're left with what, 3.5, right? Yeah. You got, let's say, 2 kids. Those kids have to go to school. Yeah. They have to eat. Yeah. They need transport. You need transport. Your wife needs transport. I haven't even brought in black tax, maybe your parents or your brother somewhere helping. Before you realize it, your salary is gone before it even comes. Yeah. Okay? Then what's the alternative? Not everybody can do a business, so I'm going to get a loan. You know, I get a loan, they get directly from my salary. Tomorrow I go to these loan sharks, I borrow money, it doesn't. And they are choked. A lot of them are choked. Yeah. How would you advise people to manage debt?
Okay, so according to me, I think for me, my best advice is the best way to manage debt is to avoid it. That's the best way to manage debt.
In a situation like the one I've given you, how can you avoid it? So
now, in this context of a situation where somebody is getting a 6,000 kwacha, for example, and just to comment, Sudanji, using, of course, the civil servants, not that we have anything against, like you have said, most of them, when they will tell you, no, I'm the only one who has the responsibility to take care of my siblings. I'm like the breadwinner in the family. And truly, if you think about most of these people, they have really genuine reasons for getting into debt. So the best advice I can give is that you cannot manage debt, because somebody told you that go and make a budget. No. The best way to manage debt is to make more money. That's the best way. And the second best way is to downgrade. So here's what I mean. And I say this a lot, Sudanji. You find this man says, or this woman says, I'm in debt, my husband and I are in debt, we are stressed. Then I ask them, where do you live? They say, no, I live in Kabulonga. You live in Kabulonga? I say, oh, okay. How much is the debt? No, currently we are owing about 170. I say, 170. I look at the car. The woman has come with maybe a Mercedes-Benz, or maybe even a Makex or Arion, whatever it is. They have these cars. She has a car, the husband has a car. They are stressed with 170. They live in Kabulonga. They are paying about 6,500, I don't know, whatever how much rent it is. A lot of money. And then they have kids at expensive schools. These kids eat like mad kids when they're going to school. They pack potatoes, chips. It's like competition with other kids. You get. So you find that the advice I usually say is that instead of stressing so much about debt, the first option is look at your lifestyle. Where is my money going? So you look at your lifestyle in 2 ways, Swelanji. There's what I call a direct responsibility and an indirect responsibility. Ask yourself a question. From the things I spend my money on, which ones are my direct responsibilities? So for example, I have rent, I have groceries, I have food at home. That's a direct responsibility. I've got children at home, direct responsibility. So from those responsibilities, is there anything that you can downgrade on? And the best one of those is rent. Because rent can usually save you a huge chunk. And the second one is food. Now, if you think about rent and food, rent, if you're in Kabulonga, for example, you have debt and you have a family, you will not die if you go to maybe a compound somewhere where you're going to be paying 1,500 rent or 1,000 rent. It is just for a moment because you know where you want to go as a family. So talk to your wife. If you're a married person, say, you know what, mommy, we have this issue and we can't keep up with the life here in Kabulonga. Can we downgrade, please? You downgrade on rent because it's possible you can simply shift unless it's your house. But if you are renting, downgrade. Go to a cheaper location. And then secondly, address the issue of food. A lot of people use more money on food than on rent, and they don't know it. Here's an example. You find that today they cook, they cook shima, there's kapenta, there's beans, there's chicken, there's lumanda, there's okra. If you count at the cost in those things, every time you cook kapenta, there's cooking oil, there's tomato, there's onion, there's salt, there are spices. You cook beans, there's cooking oil. So every type of rice you cook, you should know you are cooking. There's cooking oil, there's tomato, there's onion, there's spices. All those are costs that you're incurring. Now, what is sad that they've cooked all these reddish as if they are tomato, and they don't even finish. Most people don't finish what they cook. They just throw out. Tomorrow morning, no, vagona, tayani, they throw. They are throwing money in the bin, and they don't know it. And to even make it worse, they have a kid, a young kid who goes to school. This kid packs full like a mad kid. They have packed chips, they have packed big bottles of juice, they have packed biscuits. It's a little kid. Why are you stressing over a kid? Teach your kid how to value food. So those small things like, downgrading on rent, making a timetable for food, cook what you can eat. For example, you can say Monday we'll cook fish, Tuesday carpenter, Thursday, whatever
follow
it
that?
is.
I don't know.
It works actually. It works. It works because it saves the money. If you are in debt, you must be aggressive.
How people just wake up and now I'm just craving, and then
and that's the problem. But if you have a timetable, that's okay, fine. Monday, beans is for Saturday, for example. Beans weekend, fish Sunday, whatever it is. Because we are home, want to have a nice homemade meal, fish. Monday we'll do this. And then in the evenings, we can say, okay, fine, let's eat some light meals in the evenings. Those save on costs a lot. In Shima during the day, in the evenings, a light meal. And then there are those who go out over the weekends because they want to take their kids out. So I love my children. I suffered a lot. I want them to enjoy life. Yeah. They go to the mall every weekend. Cut on those costs. Number one, it's not even healthy to have a lot of junk foods in your system. And then number two, it saves you money. You buy a pizza for 200, 230, 300 and then you eat. You can just top up 100, you buy a bag of mini meal. Have you seen? So it's just about being honest.
How do you think newly married couples can manage finances? Better manage finances?
That's a good one. I like that. And for newly married people, that's a good question, Swelanji. You know why it's good? It's because the newly married people, they have got different expectations. They have not yet settled down in terms of what to expect. They don't know what to expect. So the biggest advice I can give a newly married person, especially a woman, is that please accept the financial situation of the man you've married. If your man is poor, accept that I've married a poor man. Accept that fact. That is going to be the difference between happiness and sorrow. If you accept that this man I've married is poor, it will help you because you won't have unrealistic expectations. It will not make us become successful because he's married to you and you demand for so much. No. So the moment you accept that I've married a poor man, all right, you won't be successful overnight because he's married to me. It puts your expectations in check. But also it helps you to come up with ways of how you can support him. You understand? So you can now address what I move with this thing in my pocket, Swilanji, and in my car usually. This...
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room. And the reason why I move with this in my car, it's a very special story it tells me. It tells me, Shadrick, don't complicate your life. If you look at this small toy, Swilanji, The actual elephant is a big one. It's a big thing. If it came here, all of us would scamper. Would run away. It's a scary animal. It's the biggest. It's very big. It has got massive strength. But the guy who made this toy, he simplified a big thing into something tiny. I can put in my pocket. He didn't put the actual feet. There's no tail, the skin, the color, whatever it is. But I know exactly what this thing is. It's an elephant. So if you are newly married, try to simplify your life before it gets worse. That's the easiest way to manage your finances. Simplify your life. You can't keep living the way you used to live when you're dating. Like going out to eat, swimming, stuff like that. Now you have a real life.
What's wrong with swimming?
No, I'm just saying, not that it's a bad thing, but simplify your life because every time you step out of the house, you're spending money. So when you're newly married, that's the best time to simplify your life and to set meaningful goals that are realistic, that are actionable. Goals you can actually do something about. Say, okay, fine, my husband, I know that you're a poor man. It's an elephant in the room. Because usually when you talk about a man's financial muscle, they are offended. You understand? So you have to simplify that complex conversation in a simpler way like this toy. I can hold it. I'm not scared. It's a tiny, tiny thing. But the actual thing is very big. Have you seen? So you can't talk about complex issues in a complex way. So you have to get an environment where your wife or your husband can open up to you and say, you know what, I'm stressed financially. Is it possible you can simply shift out of this house and maybe go to a compound where you can pay rent of 1,000? The elephant in the room. The husband knows he's stressed. The wife knows my husband is stressed, but nobody's willing to talk about it because it's the elephant in the room. But when you simplify that big issue in the home, you say, you know what? My husband is broke, yes, he's poor, but I see he's trying. So let me help him out. There's this elephant. I see how he's stressing with paying rent, buying food. So I'm going to simplify it for him. I'm going to suggest that maybe we shift. Not that I think you failed as a man, but I want us to progress. You understand? If women can create that environment in a home where a man feels comfortable coming home and cry about his finances, it's going to help a lot.
I've asked this question to other people, and I'm going to ask it to you because I want to get your view on it. What happens when in the marriage the woman gets more money than the man, and the man, for example, then loses his job and has no income? And we're in a marriage where the woman is on with the money and the man is just a John Solly or what?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't call my John Solly or what. Okay, it's not far from the truth, but I'll say this. I think for men who are with women who are earning more than them, my biggest advice has been accept that it's not a fault you're broke. That's number one. I'm just going to be honest with Angie. And like I said, I trust your audience because I see that they're a very mature audience. They're able to analyze things.
Yeah.
Most men who make less than their wives or those who are just making no money at all, they have this, manipulation attitude. The wife can't complain about anything, so because I'm not working. Man, what has got this got to do with your work? So does that mean that if you're getting less than your wife or you are not currently working, does it mean your wife can't complain about anything that you have done? You're going to connect to employment? Have you seen? So the best advice is if you're a man living with a woman who makes more than you or you're not working currently, number one, accept it's not a fault you're broke. It's not a fault you did a confused course. It's not a fault that you lost your job. So don't transfer your anger on her. When you have an argument, don't bring up our monies. Don't bring up our income, our work. Don't bring up that. Genuinely appreciate our efforts. And I'm going to say why that's important. Women are not wired to provide for families. It's a Bible principle. The Bible says, a man who can't provide for his family is worse than a man without faith. That's 1 Timothy 5 verses 8. All right? So which means that a man has got a natural responsibility to provide for his family. It's a natural instinct. That's why men get stressed when they can't provide. They become temperamental because it is stressful to go home and look at your wife and kids and then they have not eaten. The look of an angry child, Sweland, is more stressful than anything else. So that confuses men, most of them. And because it's the elephant in the room, they can't explain how they feel about it. So in the end, they begin to nag. The wife receives the phone call, who are you talking to? Because you are You feel because you're broke, she's going to talk to some men. You're just fighting this elephant in your head. You get, when actually the actual issue is very something small. So if your wife gets less money than you, appreciate her genuinely. Tell her, my wife, I thank you so much for the financial effort that you bring to the table. And at least try to do something about it, even in a small way. Don't just sleep. Because even though a woman gets 1 million kwacha as a salary per month, she'll still complain in most cases if you don't do anything at home. Not that she's a bad person, but because providing for the family is not what is in their natural system. They want to feel spoiled by their men. Even just go and buy a lollipop. Bring it to her and say, I brought for you this, it will count. Even though don't assume because she has a lot, you can't spoil her. No. Try to find ways of spoiling in your own small way as a broke husband. It is those small things that will count. Yes.
As a broke husband.
Don't be reluctant, because if you're complacent, you will not do anything about your situation. You'll be complaining about her movements, about her salary. So I think that's what I can tell somebody who is with a woman who gets more. Appreciate her for the support she offers you. It's not her job to provide for the family. She's helping you out. And then the second thing, don't become a puppet. Most men, when they are living with a woman who makes more than them, they sell their headship. You are still the head of the family even when you are broke. It is still your responsibility to advise this woman. It is still your job to give financial advice. Don't let her make important financial decisions alone because she's always working. No. That means you failed as a man, as a head of the family. Have you seen? The fact that she's providing for the family does not make her the head of the family. It makes her a wise and good helper, not the head of the family. So don't sell your headship trying to be a puppet. Now you want to impress her in every way because she's always buying food. Now you're just supporting whatever she does. No. Give her sound advice. Be objective. Remember, it is still your responsibility to do what? To provide even spiritual headship in that particular home. So appreciate her, but don't sell your headship as a man. And don't become a burden to her again, while you're now trying to be so complacent. They say, go and look for a job. When I used to work, forget about when you used to work. For now, you don't have a job. If she says, can you look for a job? She's not disrespecting you. It's for your own good. It will help you.
You mentioned, I think, when we're talking about the issue of loans, that the only option is to downgrade or make more money. And talking about making more money, some people then decide to start a side hustle, while they are in a job. How do you think people can make that work? Side hustle and employment.
So initially, I don't like the idea of side hustles.
But how do they make more money if I have a loan? Okay,
so that's the thing. Initially, if they have a loan, that's the different situation, because when you have a loan.
So you're saying you don't believe in side hustles? And
I'm going to give I have a very good reason for that.
Okay.
But for now, let me be faithful to the presentation of a loan. Like I said, you can only clear debt. Number one, like I said, the best way is to make more money. The second best is to downgrade. And then the third best is to look around your house, your assets. What do I have? You find some people, like I said, they've got a Makex, a Allion packed, Vitz packed, whatever it is, and they are stressed with debt. The reason why we buy those things is for them to come and help us when we need help. Feel free to sell so that you can have a peace of mind. Once you're able to have a peace of mind, you'll be able to think straight. You can always buy a new car. That beautiful TV that you have, you can always buy another one. So you can't be in debt, but you have all these beautiful things in your home. There's a nice fridge, a nice TV, there's a car, you live in a big house. No, accept that you are in debt. You need to move out of this situation. So sometimes you have to be willing to let go of the assets that you have. Don't have emotional attachments to material things. It makes it difficult to move forward. So if you see you are in debt, for most people, the natural instinct is to go and borrow to pay off the debt. Some people even go to this village banking to the next one. They borrow from this banking, they give this banking. But what they forget is that the interest is accumulating. They're not doing anything. They're not solving any problem. So to avoid borrowing more to pay, why don't you simply say, okay, fine, I have a big TV. I have a big freezer in the house. I have these nice expensive sofas which I bought when things were nice. I've got this car. which one can I sell to clear my debt, if at all it can clear my debt, or to at least reduce the debt burden? You can see what you can sell. Don't say, Nanga bana wazambo tamba chani. Yeah, don't let your kids manipulate you. You can talk to your kids. Okay, we'll buy a smart TV. This one is going to go. You can do that.
So what about those who've got nothing to sell and they're looking at a side hustle as, let me try and balance?
Okay, so those who've got nothing to sell,
Or maybe tell me why you don't believe in side hustles.
Okay, so here's the issue. The reason why I don't believe in side hustles is because, side hustles make people to become less focused at what's important. And I'm going to say this. Side hustles were developed by the concept of multiple streams of income.
Yes.
And this is why I'm going to say, like, for me, I think I'm just going to be honest, Swiland. Side hustles are not really entirely bad in themselves. I want to put this on record. If you're able to do your job, right, and then do a side hustle, well and good. But if you are somebody who wants to make a meaningful impact, don't treat what you're doing as a side hustle. For me, I have one principle, and it's either I do it or I don't. I'm not going to go half. I don't do that. It's either I go all in or I don't.
So for you, if someone is employed and they want to become entrepreneurs, they should first quit their job?
No.
Then how do they become entrepreneurs?
They should treat both ventures as important. Your job is actually a business as well. You understand?
Uh-huh.
It's a business. There's somebody who's put money into that job who is paying. It's a business. So also your job is a business. When you're at work, it's what people make a mistake when they think a job is just a job. No, a job is a business. It gives you a profit in form of a salary at the end of the month. If you perform badly, you'll be fired. So you do whatever you can to upgrade. You get a degree, master's degree, whatever it is, because it's a business. You're trying to make sure that business succeeds. Have you seen? Mm-hmm. So when you start to do other things, the biggest mistake is to quit your job to go and start a business. You cannot quit what is working for what is possible. That's not smart. So you can begin, like you are saying, begin to build a business. Don't create a side hustle. Because
so you have, okay, good. Let me get it clear. So the only problem you have is calling it a side hustle.
Yes. Do you know what it does? Psychologically, it makes you relaxed because don't give us the attention it needs. A side hustle is the idea of multiple streams of incomes. So you won't give it the attention that it really needs because it's just a side hustle. You get? But if you treat it as the actual business, something that is serious, you give it the same respect you give the job that you got.
Okay. Now I get your point.
You understand? So it is possible to be in employment and to be a very successful business person. It's very possible. You've shown us what is possible, Swelanji. You are in employment, but also you are doing very well this other side. It's possible. We don't know the stress you go through. Have you seen? We don't know whatever you go through at night. If you even sleep, we don't know that.
It's too much.
You see? But you've shown that, you know what, you can succeed academically and in employment, but you can also do better out of employment. It's possible. The bad mentality is to treat that job as a side hustle. Because once you have one side, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have another one. Before you know, you have about 5 side hustles. What that does, it keeps you trapped in poverty for a very long time because you have this divided attention.
Earlier, you talked about sharing a controversial opinion. I'd like to hear them. Around, you said what, bonds and whatnot.
Okay, so I'm gonna begin. Yes, I'm gonna begin maybe by, the reason why I talked about bonds that they are controversial because when I talk about bonds, some people are offended by that, and I get it because usually I don't add sugar to the issue of bonds, and because I don't add sugar, some people may be offended, and there are those who say, you know what, thank you so much for this. And not too long ago, I had put an article on my Facebook page about bonds and stocks. So some people are very much upset. I saw in some WhatsApp groups, people are saying, no, this is bad. You are discouraging people. You are speaking from ignorance. Some people are offended. I have a friend of mine who talks about bonds. And some people thought I'm trying to, discredit my friend's work. I'm saying, no, they are called government bonds because they are for everyone. And I recommend my friend 24/7 for people who want to know about bonds. The problem I have when it comes to bonds is not the people putting money in bonds. No. My biggest problem, it is us, the people in finance. We've hyped the thing about bonds to the public. Have you seen? We give them this wealth illusion that one day they'll wake up and they're going to be successful, just like that, because they're putting money in bonds. And this is why I say, before you can put your money in government bonds, you have to understand one thing. What is your investment objectives for to put money in bonds? Most people are just putting because there's a girl somewhere who's saying bonds are good, stocks are good. Warren Buffett got rich. You see, such kind of talks. And when you talk to people who are trying to make a living out of their small incomes, they are going to listen to you. Do you know why people put money in bonds? It's because they want what is good for themselves. They're not stupid. They're not fools. They come to us so that they can improve their lives. But we disappoint them. We fail them because we give them a reality that is not true. So my advice is, if before you can put money in bonds, ask yourself, what is the return on this investment? What am I looking to accomplish by putting money in bonds? Because bonds, the truth is, are not for everyone, Soilanji. And maybe I can give some calculations.
Yeah, before you go into the calculations, I don't like to assume everyone knows what bonds are. Maybe just give us a definition. What are bonds?
What are bonds?
Yes, because some people may never have heard what bonds are. Hearing for the first time.
Here's a bond. Let me use a layman's language. A bond is like, do you have any coin? Do you have any money, any note?
No.
Do you have any note? I think there's something.
Okay. I've got $100.
Okay. Okay, not this one. I wanted the Zambian money.
Oh, okay. You want Zambian money? No. I'll give you Zambian money. Give me my $100.
Okay, yes. Okay. The actually, even that, keep it. We also use it.
Okay, so I'll give you a 2 kwacha.
A 2 kwacha. This is good. Yeah, this is good. Okay, it's the same. So now you can read this statement here. You see that statement down there?
I promise to pay the bearer on demand.
Yes. Now get the dollar now. Also on the dollar, there's a statement similar to that.
In God we trust.
Okay, the other one.
This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Yes, it's legal tender. So it's a promise, huh? But once you give me this one, I'm going to give it back to you. I promise to pay the bearer on demand. So what the government bond does, it says, you know what, guys? Give us your money. The government says, give us your money. When you need this money on that actual day to give it back to you. So it is simply like you get the money, give the government, they keep it for you, but they'll give you some consolation for your money. It is nothing complicated, to be honest. It's as simple as that. I promise you, if you give me this money, I'm going to give it back to you when you need it. I promise to pay the bearer on demand. So that's simple. So people get money and get their money, for example, get a 5,000 kwacha today. You put in government bond, all right? The government will not use that money. They will give it back to you at that agreed amount, agreed debt. They actually give you the actual value, but before that, they'll be giving you something called coupons to appreciate you for giving them money. So if you look at a coupon, say for a 5,000 kwacha 2-year bond, it's about 260 or so. Now, think of it this way, Sudan. You get your 5,000 kwacha, you put in a bond, and then you're getting coupons of 260. So now, let's make this thing very straight. I'm not against bonds. And if you're a high-income earner, I have no problem with it because you're going to see a very good benefit. If you get $1 million in Sudan, you put in government bonds, oh my goodness, that's a good thing. If you have found 1,000 kwacha put in government bond, that's a good thing. But if you are somebody struggling, you're a poor guy, you get your 20,000 kwacha, you go and put in a government bond, or a 30,000 kwacha, and the coupon is about 3,000 for a 15-year bond. You see? That's like you've just borrowed money that's not multiplying in any way. You get the sense? So what I'm trying to say is this: I am not against people putting money in government bonds. But I'm not okay if, as finance people, we hype bonds to make people believe that somehow one day they'll be 65 years old and they're going to be worth. It's not true. It won't happen like that. Most people put money in bonds. The idea for bonds initially was the people who have made their wealth, let them bring their money here. They store their money here. That's how the government also controls the economy. When there's too much money, bring the monies, we reduce the money, and then we'll give it back to you with interest. You get the sense? Yeah. So if you are somebody who is a low-income earner, you want to think twice. Do I want to build wealth over time? Do I want to, or am I looking to put, if it is money you need today, let's say this, today just about 20,000 kwacha, between you and poverty, 20,000 kwacha. You go and put money in bonds. there's no difference between you and that man who borrowed money in the Bible. There's no difference. Because you're going to go back 17 times, backwards into poverty. You buy the only money to have changed your life. Have you seen? But if you're a man today, Sulanji, you've established what is called a steady cash flow, a stream of income. Say you have a job paying you well, you have a business doing fine, all right? So you've established a stable cash flow, a stable stream of income. Then you can say, you know what? As a way of saving my money, which I don't need right now to survive, I'm going to put part of it in government bonds, and I'm going to keep reinvesting. With time, it's going to grow. You understand? Because for you, you're not looking to survive. You understand? But for a guy who is struggling today, you get your money with hopes of becoming wealthy because of putting government bonds. It will never happen. It's the same thing with the stocks. It will never happen. And maybe if it's I would like to use a few numbers here.
Yeah, let's
maybe we can use some numbers so that maybe we can make more sense. So what we have here, let's say, this is the example I'm giving, okay? And this is why I'm against somebody who's a low-income earner, somebody who's struggling to start putting money in bonds or stocks. Remember, if you have consulted properly, all right, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, I have no problem with you. If you've asked an advisor, you've sat down properly with an advisor, you know your objectives, you know what you want, you have a stable stream of income, I have no problem with you. I have a problem with you if you think you're going to be wealthy because you've put money in stocks or in bonds. We have a problem there because they don't work like that. You get it? So now here, let's say, on average in Zambia, let's say today you have a 20,000 kwacha. You want to put that money, all right? You want to put that money, say, in stocks. Start with the stocks. You want to put money in stocks today. Now, on average, what we want to establish is how long will it take you to multiply. So let's say you want to make an investment of 100,000, of 20,000, okay? This is your investment, okay? So you want to invest, say, you want to invest 20,000 today in the Zambia stock market, for example, as an example. The question is, how long will it take you to multiply this money on the Zambian stock market? You understand that? So what we are going to do is that we are going to use a very simple finance formula. This is just some simple math. I'm not going to go into complex calculation, just a simple math. How long will it take? We're going to use a formula called the rule of 72. It's a very famous formula that measures time, how long it takes to multiply something. So the rule of 72 measures time. This is the formula. It says time is going to be equal to, all right, 72 we divide by the rate of return. The return on investment. So what is the return on investment on the Zambian stock market? On average, Zambia has averaged between 12% to 15% on average. Now, I'm going to be very realistic because when you're doing estimates, go for a low amount. I'm going to say, let's divide this 72 by 12%. So I'm going to say 72, we divide this by 12%, okay? So how much we have? This gives us something like 6 years. That's the time it will take to grow the 20,000 kwacha on average on the Zambian stock market. It's going to take you 6 years. Now, notice, Welanji, this does not mean that every investment will take you 6 years. This is an average figure. We've seen Airtel is doing very fine so far, but it's not every company doing like Airtel so far. Have you seen? So average 6 years. So now to be more realistic, I think as a finance person, I'm going to say, now we know it can take about 20 years using that rate of return. So if I put my 20,000 kwacha today in stock, all right, how much would it be after 6 years at that rate of return? Have you seen? So simply, I'm going to say, okay, fine, let's use the PV formula, which is simply, of course, the PV is equal to the future value is equal to the present value, all right? And then we multiply this by the brackets, 1 plus the R to the power n. So what this means, it means we are trying to look for FV stands for the future value, PV stands for the present value, all right? And then we have 1 plus R, which is simply the interest rate. Then N represents how long it's gonna take in years.
Yeah.
So what we can do, we can say, okay, fine. Let's say our future value after 6 years is gonna be something like this. We're gonna say what is our present value today? The money we want to invest today. Want to invest
20,000.
Okay, fine, 20,000. Yay, we do that. We multiply this one by 1, all right, plus what is the interest rate? We're using 12% on average. So 0.12, like that. Then we raise this to the power 6. So if we raise to the power 6, let me just raise it quickly on the calculator. So we're going to say we have a 20,000. All right, we multiply this one by brackets 1.012 brackets to the power 6. Okay, so when we raise this one to the, okay, let's see, surpass something wrong. So we have 20,000. Okay, great. Multiply by brackets 1.12 brackets to the power 6. All right, so this one roughly gives us something like, notice we have 39,476. 39,476, like that. Okay, this is the future value. Of course, if I add some a reconstruction, it's going to go to 43,000, but let's go to the realistic amount. 39,476. That's the amount of money we expect after 6 years when we put that 20,000. So you can see when we use the PV formula, it's a bit more realistic. But now, because I understand that on your audience, you have people from the international market, people from other countries. I see people say, I'm commenting from Liberia. I see those kind of comments. So I'm going to be very realistic. In Zambia, we have some exemptions on capital gain. All right. So now what happens is this, we have a few exemptions, but for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to add tax and I'm going to add inflation so that we can see how that money may erode in the long run. So I'm going to begin by tax. So if we are to incorporate tax here on this same amount to see how much is the tax rate in Zambia, and also let's incorporate inflation, how much is the inflation in Zambia. So in Zambia, on average, we have between 8% to 10% on average. We revolve around those figures in terms of inflation.
It's actually about, is it 13.8 now?
Yes, today's 13.8, but I'm not going to use that because it's not the average figure.
Okay.
It is the current figure. So if I use that, I'll be very unrealistic.
Okay.
So to be realistic, we have to go to the a bit lower amount, something that is a bit, Okay,
let's say 10.
We can say 10%. All right. We can say 10%. We can do 10% and then discount this to the present value. So if I use, say, inflation about 10% or 8%, this figure goes down from 39,000 to 26,000. All right. And then if I do, say, capital gain tax, assuming 25%, it's going to be about 5,000 something. So you're going to see that the growth that you're going to have in your money over that period of 6 years is something very, very tiny. Maybe you're going to have, say, I get this one, I discount it by 10%. I can say this same amount of money I do, the same discount at 10%, so that we can just add inflation. I'm going to say this one, then 1.1, of course, to the power -6 this time around, we discount it to 10%. It's going to be something like 39,476. 39,476. We add the inflation. We're going to say 1.1 to the power. Of course, we use a -6 this time because we're moving from the future to the present. So what we are going to have is about 26,000 something, 26,000 point whatever. So you can see the reduction in the money. It has reduced a bit because of inflation. But again, if we remove taxes, it's going to be even well lesser. So the question I'm trying to bring is that while it is true that you can make money in some companies on stock, but on average, it's not every company doing fine. If a guy is struggling, Swilandi, you cannot go and get your 20,000 and put in stocks, because obviously it's going to take you about 6 years to grow that money. And if you add inflation, that money would have lost value for the period of 6 years' time. So you want people to get the same investment that you had put in initially. It won't work like that. Have you seen? So the best is, if you are struggling, first of all, can you just use that 20,000 to build a real business? Build a real business. Once you have a stable stream of income, and now you are making this money you don't know what to do with. For example, you can take a fund, there's growth. One day I'm going to grow old. Let me now start saving some part of the money for the future. Have you seen? Then you can use government bonds as a way to save your wealth that you're building. So you can build your wealth slowly over time, because now you have a stable stream of income. You're able to pay rent properly, you're able to eat properly, all right? You're able to do everything properly. I have no problem if you put money in bonds. But if you are suffering, you go and put money in bonds thinking you're going to be wealthy or in stocks, you are lying to yourself. It will not work like that. You just wait that money. And again, stocks are very volatile in terms of risk. Things can change overnight, Swilanji. Before you know it, you are broke. Just like that. So why should you use the own money to change your life to put in stocks or to put in bonds? Why would you do that to yourself? It is because of wishful thinking. You've been sold a lie and it's not your fault. Because when you're investing, you mean well for yourself. Have you seen? But the financial literacy educators have hyped bonds. They have hyped stocks so much that people are willing. I see when somebody gets a 900 kwacha hard-earned money, they give these young girls on Facebook and they say, this shit, if you add, 1,000 years, it's going to show you what you're going to have in the next 5 years. You can change the colors. It's going to be red if you want. And people pay 900 for a simple Excel sheet. People are being ripped by educators and nobody's doing anything about it. Have you seen? So that's the problem I have.
So why do you think these people are hyping bonds, as you said it?
It's because when you hype, you talk more about bonds in a way that makes you get some attention. You get an award. You get, these people are people being given awards. You understand? Not that it's a bad thing, but I think they're hyping bonds because they also want to get paid. That's why I say if you want to put money in government bonds, there are people who are very much reliable. There are people, I don't know if I can mention names, there are people who are reliable, all right? You can go to people who are reliable, I sense, people with experience. I have a good friend who does bonds, not because he's my friend, but because I know he's a solid financial advisor.
So your biggest problem with bonds is people investing small amounts of money expecting to turn around their right.
Yes, the biggest issue that lives. People are being told, they've been told a lie. That's my biggest problem, by educators. And now because of being told a lie, they've got these expectations that are weird. Do you know why people are upset every time they receive a coupon? They are upset because they didn't expect to get money less than the bundles they use in a month. People get money less than the bundles they use in a month on coupons. 200, 170, 305, and then they are just stuck. Say, I put my 5,000, when it at 270. You see, it's because number one, they did not sit with a proper financial advisor. And then number two, they don't have proper expectation and objectives. They just want to put money thinking they're going to become wealthy because somebody presented bonds to them in a very unrealistic way.
What would you say is the best option for those who are planning to retire?
Okay, good. So retirement for me is not the age. Retirement is a number. So you can say, for example, Swilanji, at what age do you want to retire? You say, I want to retire at maybe 40 years old, but what number is that in terms of finances? Say, I want to have 10 million by the age of 40 and I'm going to retire. Retirement is a number. You understand? It's not the age, it's a number in financial terms. So I can say, I want to retire when I make 20 million kwacha. I'm going to retire. I'm going to go to the farm. I'll be playing around at the farm and I'll be doing my stuff there, but I don't want to be working full time because I would have enough money to live off to support my lifestyle. You understand? So whether you're in employment or you're in business, the best option for you is to understand what is your minimum living expense so that you can save for that money or invest for that money. So that when you are maybe 70 years old or 40 years old or 39 years old or whatever, 50 years old, that number is in the bag. Then you can go and say, I've retired. So I'm not saying you can't, if you want to use bonds as a means for retirement, for example, like people say, no, I'm going to go and put money in government bonds. I don't want to work when I'm 65. I don't have the strength. So I want to be. It will never happen. Number one, you don't even know if you live up to 65. You understand? And then number two, bonds are not there to make you rich. If you're a low-income earner, if you're somebody struggling, they want to make you rich. They'll just trap you in poverty because they give this false sense of security. Say, you know what, I've put my 20,000 in Zaka Kula. Why on earth should it take you 40 years to grow your money when you can grow it in 5 years? Why? Why would you get your 20,000 kwacha, which if you are forecast within 5 years, this money can really multiply? why should you bury it for 40 years? Because somebody said, Warren Buffett made it. No, that was a long time ago. The economy was different. So as people in finance, we have to be honest and tell people the truth. I like what Mnyumba does. I know you know Mnyumba. He does an amazing job. He tells you exactly what you need to do. My friend, here's your risk profile. My friend, these are your financial goals. My friend, don't do ABCD. He's able to take you through a step-by-step process. And guess what? This is the guy who's never been nominated for an award. This is the guy who's doing the actual real work on the ground. And this is the guy who has a 0 award, not from SEC, not from Bank of America, not from nothing.
Okay, that's another conversation altogether.
So the issue here I'm saying is that maybe just to put it this way, I'm saying talk to people who are like properly licensed, like that guy. It's going to help you a lot. And people who are rich will make money from bonds, to be honest.
Okay, our time is almost up. I'm Shadrick, but if you were to rate the top 5 investment options that you would recommend to people, what would they be?
Okay, so again, it will be unethical for me to mention top 5 investments. Because once I leave this platform, somebody's going to put money in that investment. And they then
come and say, no, you told me.
Shadrick. But I can say, if you want to put money in government bonds, please be realistic. Yes, bonds are good. And my advice is, make sure, number 1, you have a stable income stream. Number 2, know your objectives. Number 3, know what you are putting that money for. Is it to take you out of poverty, or is it a saving maybe for the number to want to achieve before retirement? Because when you're going to grow old, you need money. But don't put money and expect it to multiply overnight because you've put in bonds. No, it doesn't work like that. So the important thing, go and pay an advisor who is properly licensed, somebody well-founded with knowledge. Is going to take you through proper. You won't even be hyped. If you see these girls, like I told you, Suranji, they are even showing screenshots of the portfolios they have. Say, no, I have this portfolio, I've made so much money. So a lot of girls are talking about bonds and there's no one to regulate them. You understand? And because of this big hype and the fancy name about compound interest, and for some reason people think compound interest is food. I don't understand. Compound interest, you're going to be what? It's not something that's just because it's compound is going to be worse. No, it's just an interest on interest, simple as that. But these have been hyped because people can't really understand them in our situation. Most of them are being ripped off, and these investors mean well for themselves. So I hope you understand why I feel bad when I see a poor guy is putting money in government bonds. I'm not against that poor guy, no. I'm against us people in finance. Why don't we advise people the right way? Say, find my friend, what you're looking for won't come out of bonds. You see, look the other way.
All right. No, thank you very much, Shadrick, for that. You couldn't give me the top 5 investment, but generally, okay, top 5 advice you'd like to give to people around finances.
Number 1 is that compound interest is not food. So when you hear that word, don't be excited about it. It won't change your life because there's compound interest. It's not food like manna where you don't have to do the work. And then number 2, this idea of multiple streams of income is what traps people in poverty. Because, like I said earlier, Swilanj, how long does it take you to become good at one thing? Science and research show that it takes you 10,000 hours to be great at something. So that is one thing. Now, just simple math, Swilanj. That's a quick simple math. How many hours do you have in a day?
24.
We have 24 hours in a day. Just simple math, Swilanj. And this is just some simple math for you to just be honest with yourself as somebody wants to invest money. Multiple streams of income does this to your life. You have 10,000 hours to become good at something, Swilanj. How many hours do we have in a day? We have 8 hours in a day.
24.
Or 24 hours in a day. Now, those 24 hours in a day, we have divided them into 3. We say you sleep for 8 hours, you work for 8 hours, and you have 8 hours for recreation, which means for you to master something, you're going to utilize these 8 hours. Have you seen? This is the one that you have to utilize. So if you're going to do 5 things and be good at them, you need to multiply 10,000 by 5, which gives you 50,000 50,000 hours. Have you seen? And then these 50,000 hours, you're going now to divide by how much? By the 8 to see how many days are those. You're going to see it will take you about 17.1 years to become a master at 5 skills. That's a lot of time. Have you seen? That's why I say, if you're going to invest, first of all, master one thing. Become great at it, like you have done, Sulan. You didn't just wake up one day and open the podcast. You first worked. You became so good at communication. You are the public speaking conference. It has taken you years to become so great that you can even have a conference that big. You see? So you've mastered this because you've practiced, you've been on TV, you've talked to different people who talk fast, people talk slow, people are able, you understand this thing. Then you can say, you know what, I think I can open a podcast. I have what it takes to talk to people and interview them. Have you seen? Now imagine if you're trying to do 5 different things. It's going to take you longer to succeed because it's going to split your focus. So first of all, try and make one thing work first. If this one thing really works, when you have enough cash, then you can begin to diversify. Now diversify because now you have a stable income stream. You can't do 5 different things and expect to become wealthy because we are being cheated. No, you can be wealthy by multiple streams of income. It's not true. The richest people of this world, most of them made their money from one thing first. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, all these people did something first, one thing very right. They became so successful that now they can do what? They can now expand. Multiple streams means once you have enough cash, don't put all the eggs in one basket, then begin to expand. But the problem we have is that we have people here who are starting a life and they have multiple streams. The financial game has never been about multiple streams. It has been about streams that shake bank accounts. So build one business first, let it grow. Once it grows, you can now begin to do what? To diversify. That's how it's supposed to work. That's the right way.
Okay, that was number 3.
Yes, that was. I've talked about, of course,
compound interest.
Compound interest is not food. Don't go to multiple streams of income. First, focus on one thing, and then another issue is just be aware of your financial situation. Accept your situation. That helps you as an investor. Once you know your financial situation, it makes it become more realistic what to put the money into. Because you know I can't put money in bonds. I have 10,000 kwacha. I can't go and bury it. Let me first multiply it. Once it grows, I'm going to put in bonds later on. Or maybe unit trust, whatever it is. And then number 4, what I can just say is that, making money is not something you can do overnight. It takes a lot of time and patience. So if you're going to be an investor, you must make sure you understand that it won't take you 2 days to become successful. Sulan, you've been in business for a long time. How long did it take you to make all these beautiful investments we made here? Didn't happen overnight. You obviously worked and worked and worked, saved and saved, did this and that, and then finally it worked. It took time. So a meaningful investment takes time. So when you're going to make an investment, have realistic expectations of what you're going to expect. Because making an investment is meant to gambling. It may work, it may not work. But what's important that you tried. And then finally, I can just say that if you're going to be a good investor is one who knows how to separate themselves from their business. It helps a lot to be disciplined. Don't use business money for personal use, no. Let be a difference between you and the money. For example, I have Sulanji CMA page. All right, that's the brand that you have built. But that is supposed to be different from you as a person. You understand? When you are at your home, you're not the vibrant speaker that people know out. No, at home you're a loving, husband. I don't know if you have kids. At home you're different. So there should be a difference between you and your business, so that your behavior shouldn't affect your business. You understand? So the way you behave, you should be able to realize that you're a brand for your business. Your behavior has a bearing on the growth of your business. The reason why people come to you, Swilanj, and then they're able to sit down with you and talk with you because they know the brand you've built. They're able to say, you know what, this man has built a very good brand, he's very respectful, he's very sound. No matter how big they are, when you call them, they say, you know what, I'm going to come, thank you so much, because of the brand. But imagine if you start behaving a certain way. Some people will refuse to associate with you because of brand association. They will say, this guy, no, leave him alone. You understand? So you must understand that 24/7 you're a brand ambassador for your business. We judge you based on what we see. We don't know what's in your heart. So with the way you behave, you must remember, I am a brand for my business. So be mindful of what you dress, the way you talk, who you are found with, and who you take pictures with. If you post a picture with a drunkard, you'll say, these are his friends. Brand association. So be very mindful if you are an investor. Your personal brand should not affect the success of your business. Very important.
Mr. Lusambo, thank you very much for your time. I can tell you have a passion for teaching.
Yeah.
with the board and everything. But thank you very much for the time and for the insights and for the controversial opinions as you labeled them yourself.
Yeah.
I just feel like at the end of the day, I think people really must make a decision.
Yes.
About what they want to do with their money.
Yeah.
And that's why I think in the Bible there's a scripture which says test, what these things are.
Yes.
Don't just know because that one said, and you dive into it. It's your money. No one will push you if you say, let me take 3 years to plan and see if bonds are a good thing for me. Well and good. If you feel like 20,000 kwacha, the 200 coupon is enough for you, I mean, it's your choice at the end of the day.
Yes. I think that's okay, Sugan, like you said. The only issue is that you have proper objectives. Know what you're doing. Most people don't know what they're doing. That's why they are putting money because they have these unrealistic expectations. I think that's a point I should be able to put across.
Yeah. So, because I at some point I did my calculations. If I put 500K in a bond, if I put $1 million, it's good. Very good. It's very good then. But investing 20,000 kwacha on a 15-year bond is anyway. Yeah. Otherwise,
I hope you understand why I'm saying. And so let me just say this. I've been this honest, and I think you can see how passionate I am because number one, like I said, I'm only accepting to talk about this because I trust your audience, and I know that they are very much mature people able to say, okay, fine, this guy talks from this point of view. I've been invited from somewhere else. I refused to say no, I don't want because I didn't. So I'm giving my opinion, but I'm not saying don't put money in bonds. What I'm saying is, please, first of all, have a stable stream of income, and then we can talk. I sit with an advisor, no problem. I'm not discouraging bonds, just to be clear, but I hope you've gotten what I've explained and a few things I've pointed out to.
No, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Lusambo. People can follow you on Facebook. What are your...
Yes, so on Facebook is Shadrick, Chartered Accountant. That's the Facebook. And it's the same on YouTube, but same on TikTok, Instagram, it's the same.
All right. Thank you very much. And for you guys, we'll see you in a fortnight. Thank you very much for your time.